Many thanks for staying with Daybreak. Now, social media and reality can be different things. Rather than a talk shop, it is becoming a place where people live out their fantasies. Social media is so far the greatest communication revolution of the 21st century, but it has drawbacks we all must watch out for. We're going to delve into this conversation, look at the opportunities that lie therein, as well as where we are as a nation and how we are best utilizing this platform where we may be going wrong as well. With me in studio, starting from my left, is Nelly Ndonye. She's the Regional Manager, Client Relations at Turn Left Media. She is going to be joining us in this conversation this morning. I'm also joined by Faith Nkatha, Country Manager, Cellulant. She will be with us this morning as well, engaging with us in this topic. And of course, Philip Ogola, who is a digital activist, very vocal on matters social media usage, as well as how best we can explore opportunities that lie therein. As we begin this conversation, we invite your comments, of course, as always, on 22422. The hashtag is Daybreak at Citizen TV Kenya. At Lillian_Muli, please send us your thoughts on what you think as regards our topic. I'll start with you, Nelly. Social media usage in Africa continues to skyrocket, and we do know that it is rivaling Asia, despite Asia being a less developed and, of course, a smaller population. What is your observation as regards the trends we're seeing in the country, both in urban populations as well as rural populations?
I think a lot of Africans are looking to improve their lives, and technology is offering the platform to do that. Our governments have been able to give us proper or good technology in most of the African countries. When you look at bandwidth across some of the African countries, we have the best bandwidth. And that then creates the opportunity where we can generate revenue, we can connect with family, we can connect with people, we can connect with jobs. And the attitude that we have towards achieving more and being better is then the driver for Africans to just do more on technology and on digital. Your
thoughts on the same as well, Faith Nkatha, on this digital space and the social media usage in Africa, and why the rush towards the digital space?
I'll agree with Nelly, and I think just to expound on that a bit more, I think it's also that it's already been done so well in Europe and in the States. And so it's a blue ocean for Africa. And I think even more exciting, just the chances that social media can be a platform for business, you know, and that is even informing how infrastructure is being done, for example. It's informing how education is being done moving forward. You know, now you can get onto social media, apart from the usual things, you know, where you post your life and aspects like that. You can do business, you can buy your shoes, you can do all these other aspects. You can get to learn different aspects. There are people who are like formal bloggers, you know, on just different aspects, and people are learning, you know. So I know there's the negative side, so to speak, but when I look at it with a business eye, I see even greater opportunity. And perhaps just to add, I think that's why there's also so much investment in Africa. You're seeing a lot of these digital companies, you know, so to speak, coming into Africa, partnering with local companies here. I think it's just because there's so much opportunity. And I think whether we are business people or the government, it's time that we figure out how to capitalize on this for Africa, for Kenya, so to speak.
And touching on the pros and talking about the business side of things, we're seeing interesting statistics on Africa's digital landscape. Should retail business use this as a spectra through which to see the future? I'm talking about small companies, makeup companies such as Huda, which Cellulant itself actually did give a small boost. Should small retail businesses now look this as an opportunity that will catapult them to the next place as we look towards the future?
I'll say a resounding yes. You know, when I think about some of the statistics we saw for last year, you know, when we were in full COVID mode, and how they said that TikTok, you know, registered the most users globally. So imagine for yourself as a business person, I'm selling what? Maybe handbags, you know, or like some cute, like maybe beaded work that I make for myself. And I sell that on TikTok, or I sell it on Instagram. Imagine how much more I stand to perhaps, you know, get a bigger market than if I set up my shop somewhere. So I think online shops are going to become a big thing. I'll tell you, for Cellulant, even what we are planning for in the next few years is to ensure that we can offer easy ways for you to pay on those online platforms, so that even though I don't have a website like a proper company, with my social media page, someone can click somewhere, buy certain things, and be able to pay. And I think that's the future, genuinely. And especially for Kenya, where we're thinking of supporting the SMEs and even just the really small businesses, I think it's to be able to train these people on, simple social media acumen, so that way they can use those platforms to sell the kikapu, to sell, your small things that you're doing. And I think with that, we'd be able to just get to somewhere where our economy can be able to grow even from that low part of the pyramid, so to speak.
Right. Interesting observation there, Philip, the fact that there's so many opportunities that lie therein, and yet we're looking at a younger demographic that is extremely addicted to social media, that is not utilizing social media, a lot of unemployment across the space, and a lot of cries for employment as well, but of course a lot of abuse as well on this digital space. Your thoughts?
First of all, Lilian, good to see you after a very long time. I took 8 months sabbatical from the digital space just to focus on my mental health. This topic is very timely, and I wouldn't agree more with Nelly and my colleague here, Faith, who have actually spoken about the business side. And our lives are actually right now anchored online. When you look at from the African perspective, for a very long time, Africans have lacked a space where they could actually vocalize. And the digital space has given us a voice to actually talk about our African resilience, to tell our stories. And for the first time, we are looking at this from a Kenyan perspective, where youths have a voice. And we have a voice, but do we have structures? Do we have frameworks to actually guide the youth? And when you look at the COVID pandemic actually gave us the digital space full-blown, with no structures in place. Parents have no understanding of the digital space, the academia, the government, even the media. So you find people have a lot of time online, but we don't have structures to actually govern. So that's why there's abuse. That's why there's and employment. I can tell you, so many youth actually tapping on the digital space. I think we need to really redefine employment, because youth actually making money online. We have new wave of bloggers. We have new ways of content creators who actually pay to actually tell stories. I'm a case study of, for the last 11 years, I've actually been earning from the digital space. So for me, I'm looking at it more of how do we, as Africans, tap on this new digital space. And Muli, we are moving from text to audio. We are moving from text to actually video. Right now, it's about videos. It's about TikTok is now the most used app right now on social media. Yeah, I think it just crossed 1 billion usage. And it's 30-second video, it goes viral. It shows even right now, even like parents, do parents know that they have a role to play in digital literacy? Do schools know that, hey, we can tap on these kids? So for me, when you talk about digital space and reality, I don't think we know the reality yet. I don't think we are focusing on the negative side, but there's so much positivity we've not tapped in as a society, as Africa. And
we are living in times of a gig economy, the rise of hustlepreneurs. When you look at the digital space, you see a lot, like Philip has said, you see a lot of young people making money from corporates, a lot of corporates actually tapping into content creators across the country, persons that we previously saw on this platform right here on analog TV are now actually being given an opportunity to create their own content, make their own money. I'd like us to explore this topic, the gig economy and the rise of hustlepreneurs and the opportunities that lie therein for corporates as well as for content creators.
All right, so there is quite a number of platforms that have come up, and ideally most of them were there, but there were limits to how far they extended. So think about even designers, graphic designers. You know, you've got platforms like Fiverr, which you as a business or as an entrepreneur starting a business, you can go there and get someone to design your logo, your brand, you know, your letterheads for under $100, you know? And there's someone somewhere who's generating revenue from that, and they have the skills. And when you look at the formal ecosystem, there aren't enough jobs to absorb all these capabilities and all these people. At the same time, there's platforms like LinkedIn, where professionals who have years of experience and who have a lot more to offer into the market and are looking for, you know, your corporate experience, there's opportunities for them to come and create their profiles, be visible, be found, and be able to get jobs. Further than that, it's not just about finding a job. It's being able to connect with people who connect you to other opportunities. So that's what social media offers. It's not limited to your typical Fiverr type of platform or your LinkedIn type of platform. It's any platform whereby you're able to connect with other people, because people are constantly sharing what their offline experiences are online. And this creates opportunities for people to see, oh, you're having a problem here, or you're having a challenge here. I have the skills to help you solve that problem. And that extends up and above, you know, your traditional or your informal type of businesses to the formal type of businesses, and then at the same time creating new business models. Because if you look 5-10 years ago, influencer business wasn't as big as it is right now, you know, and there's other new ways of making money, like the Instagram stores. You know, it's amazing how much you can actually furnish a house from start to finish from Instagram. It's amazing. And these are not people who've had businesses for 10 years. These are people who probably were struggling last year or 2 years ago, and they just thought, you know what? I have the capability to make pallet sets. I have the capability to make brass jewelry. I have the capability to, you know, do some brand work or photography. And they create their profiles and they show off what they've done in the past, and they reach out and connect to other people who are looking for those exact things.
On the same, Faith, I'd like to hear your thoughts as well. The gig economy, the revolution towards corporates actually embracing an approach where, as opposed to putting up a big billboard, you know, on Huru Highway, Nakuru Highway, they would rather perhaps resort to seeking the services of an influencer. And I'm talking about persons who have also resorted to being hustlepreneurs on this digital space, as opposed to waiting for what Philip is saying here, which is, you know, wait for the corporates to approach them for job interviews.
And I agree with you completely. When I think about how I would strategize probably 5 years ago and how I strategize now, especially when I'm looking at like market strategies, like marketing strategies, it's totally shifted. And I think the shift is already here with us. When I think about wanting to reach the masses, I'd rather be getting that brand ambassador who's someone who has a fantastic following and a large following on social media. And so anytime, and I believe it's not just for me, I believe it's like, you know, across the board, whether it's a bank or, you know, a telco, you know, everyone wants that brand ambassador who they can be identified with. And so I think when you talk about the hustlepreneur, it's about getting that structure and ensuring that these hustlepreneurs get the learning as well, so that they set themselves up, you know, for these opportunities. Because like we said, you know, it's just ways for employment, and the corporates are thinking that way. So it's just this other group of people just making sure they're branding themselves properly and are ready for this demand that's there. If you think about almost any company right now that wants to maybe reach like 1 million people or 2 million people, it would be so ideal to use just one of these, you know, social media personalities, whether it's on Instagram, like we've said, or Facebook, or, you know, just depending on what you're looking for. And more than any time before, I care how I rate as a company on social media as well. And so I think there is so much opportunity. And like we said earlier, I think it's just for whether it's a company or government to figure out how all these things sit in our economy. I'll tell you an interesting story. During COVID, and this is a solid, you know, like entrepreneur on the lowest part of the pyramid, a lady who was a mama mboga, you know, sitting down and figuring out, okay, it's COVID, people are not getting out, I still need my mboga sold because I need this money, you know, to live and all that. And so her child advised her to just, you know, put together like this information in like on WhatsApp. And, you know, interestingly, you know how you share, you know, I'm in a certain group and I share, oh, if you need your mbogas or your milk or your eggs, you know, reach out to this lady. In no time, that screenshot went viral on WhatsApp. And, you know, we might want to think of social media just by the IGs and things like that, but WhatsApp still is a digital space. And this lady was able to make a living. So it's not even just the hustlepreneurs where we're talking about the celebrities. I think it's any sector, whether it's agribusiness or what we call the Jua Kali sector, there's ways, like you talked about furnishing a house. So I'm a Jua Kali guy making my metal pieces or whatever. There is opportunity for you to be able to, get your business out there, and not just Kenya, but globally through Instagram or Facebook and all these other platforms.
Right. And Philip, there is a sense that some of these content is unregulated. You find pages that are extremely cluttered. And I'm talking about this because of comments that came in earlier about personalities that flood their pages with a lot of content that have embraced corporate after corporate, corporate after corporate, and therefore you get that the message is lost therein. And so just in terms of that online behavior as a brand and how to best regulate your content so that it is structured and so that the message gets home. I would imagine that there is no corporate that wants a page that is cluttered, and if you're paying me to say put your message out there, then you don't expect for me to be posting about the next other corporate in the next couple of minutes. But what are your thoughts around this? This is my opinion.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Lillian, and it's something which I don't think the industry has actually fully grappled the magnitude. At times, to me, numbers don't matter. It's the depth of voice, it's the depth of emotional hook. We are seeing the uprising of micro-influencers, where now corporates are moving away from the traditional influencers who have big numbers, who are verified, who are celebrities, who are people with authority, to now more kawaida, kienyeji. They're called kienyeji on Twitter. But these are more authentic people from the villages, from the traditional. They're the ones who tell stories from the no makeup, no filters. We're actually shifting because they own the narrative. If you look at the comedians, if you look at even the celebrities, they tend to mimic the people from the villages. So finally, the people of the villages have found a voice. So for me, I'm looking at it from an impact assessment. When you do a post, what impact does it have? If you are a brand, a celebrity, you can't be pushing this brand today, tomorrow with another brand, which is opposing the other brand. People need to find their values. You need to find your strength in something which you're passionate at. If it's travel, focus on that travel and do it so good. Don't focus on travel today on this. So that's kind of, it kind of drains that kind of value. So on the digital space, I think what COVID has shown us right now that whatever used to work is not working anymore. People are looking for authentic because everybody has pain. Everybody has gone through trauma. People are like, okay, so what are you telling me different? And we are seeing people connecting with authentic stories where you find like a mama mboga saying, hey, I need to sell my fruits, and people will buy from the emotional perspective. So for me, what I'm looking at, the future of work in 2022 will be emotional hook. Do I get emotional hook in your brand? Like, I'm seeing a rise on people who are not even known, people with maybe 100 followers, 300 followers, to actually start making it to the limelight. But what I also look at is even from brand perspective, I think also brands, even from the government, the UN, the NGOs, they need to also change tact. Because those billboards alone are not working. Those TV, even the media has to go to the ground and get like feedback from the ONG. So the digital space gives us an opportunity to actually get free research.
You spoke about emotional hook, and I want to zero in on fake news. We are living and we're facing an epidemic of information where facts, rumors, fear is pretty much all over, and especially on WhatsApp and Twitter as well. A lot of fake news circulating. So it's very difficult to decipher the truth and the non-truths. And we're getting into a very sensitive season, 2022. And fake news is not unique to this show. It's a conversation that has been had year after year, and particularly towards every general election. And I'm talking about 3 that I have covered. So fake news and how to best handle this digital space as we head towards this very, very sensitive season.
Lillian, what I'll tell you first is I think we put the donkey ahead of the cart. As in, we are moving to the elections, we don't have social media frameworks. We don't have digital policy to actually guide the youth. So right now, there's a gray area where we're still grappling with the legalities of it. And then also, the government is also not ensuring there's a digital literacy mechanism from the school level, from the university level, from the college level. And the media alone cannot do this alone. we need to get parents actually to be on board where they are told this is fake news, this is real. And then also we need to have that integrity. Social media is about integrity, as in where you're just calling out this is wrong. But we find that we don't call out this is wrong. We are used to clickbait culture where we do stuff for fame. So I think it all boils down to integrity. We need to like start it from WhatsApp admins where we have guiding principles. When someone flags something, it's actually brought down. Even on social media, we need to have like guiding principles like, hey, this is wrong, bring it down. If the President of America can be flagged on Twitter, how about the common man? So even for bloggers, there need to be guiding principles where they're like, these people need to get penalized. But we have a gray area where there are no structures, there are no policies to actually guide us on the do's and don'ts. But looking at the elections, from the look of things, we're actually preparing for a shit show. Because when you look at it, both the political divides are using the youth to actually flare emotions. Okay. And this is something which we really need to be afraid of as a country.
Right. Just to bring your attention to the recent memes that have been going around. If you're a Kenyan who posts a lavish lifestyle on Facebook, Snapchat, and even Twitter, be wary of the taxman. Kenya Revenue Authority Commissioner Githi Mburu now says your lifestyle matches your taxes. I want to get your individual thoughts. Your individual. I think it's very interesting, and I've been seeing these memes circulating. But it's actually very interesting that the taxman is actually watching your social media behavior and your content and what it is that which is basically an indicator that a lot of people are faking it out here. A lot of people are not practicing what they preach. I want to hear your thoughts.
Look, I believe in what Kerry is doing. They need to collect taxes because ultimately the taxes will develop the country. But sometimes I feel like as much as the digital infrastructure is developing, we seem to be constantly at conflicts with KRA. Remember last year around the same time was when they implemented the policy around taxing influencers, the digital tax element, which I think was 2 years ago or a year ago. And that created so much confusion because even the infrastructure to collect that was not put in place. So you want to tax Facebook, you want to tax LinkedIn, but you don't have the infrastructure to collect. You haven't built it out. So now we're going to address the influencers, half of who, if not most, are faking it. I think the intention, makes sense. It's valid. They need to collect the taxes. But I feel that sometimes they haven't thought through the whole process of how to do it, and they haven't really identified what exactly they're trying to collect. So yes, the memes are exciting, but I do believe that there will be some casualties one way or the other. So that's still a concern for me. Right. I just hope that maybe as a government we can look at, instead of punishing the youth who are trying to, build their lives, build their lifestyle. Some of these lifestyles are the ones that enable them to make money, to generate income. Not necessarily that they are generating that kind of income. Some of these lifestyles that are being exposed are actually brands being promoted. So it's not really an individual's lifestyle, it's just this particular product that they're trying to put out and they're getting paid for that. So yes, there is a few who are actually living that exact lifestyle and not paying their taxes, but most of them are probably just pushing out a brand.
Your thoughts on the same as well, Faith?
First, probably to say that every time I see a meme, I'm always thinking how creative Kenyans are, just to say that. But having said that, how I see it is that there's a downside to social media, and it's sad. Forget even like the celebrities. Just look at our friends. Half the time we're saying what you see on social media sometimes is not, what's actually happening at home. I listened to someone the other day on some documentary, and they were saying how they got off every form of social media, and they've never had peace like they did, because sometimes you've gone on a holiday, for example, and then you get onto social media and I see what holiday Lillian has done, then I'm like, shucks, mine didn't kick as much as hers did. Then maybe I get depressed, and maybe that's the reason for a lot of the issues we're seeing, just in terms of life and how people are just not happy and content. So I think there's that side, and I think it's for probably go back to our homes. How are we raising our children? Are they authentic? Are we raising them to live authentic lives and to speak the truth? And that's just one part. But the other part, I just want to be a bit controversial. when I look at a billboard and I see a husband and a wife and they're advertising some type of bread, those guys are not actually married, right? So it's just stuff that's put out as long as I'm able to sell it properly, and it's branding. And I think that's what a lot of these guys are doing on social media. Probably when I'm going to, you know, to do my shopping, I don't, you know, walk around going like, oh my gosh, or, you know, just all these things, yeah? But maybe I will do that because I'm vlogging and I want it to be exciting. It's just selling, you know, and how we sell. And I think the government, I won't just talk about KRA, but the government just needs to understand that this is just a platform where people are looking to brand themselves. And perhaps they just need to find ways of figuring out how the income is actually coming through, so that if Faith is out there and I'm making my money on YouTube, get a way of finding out what my income is, then tax that, because that's my real income. But if out there I'm putting out a check showing that my gross income is $1 million, maybe it's just fake, you know? So the only way to know is just to check real numbers. And I guess it's a challenge to government, you know, are we using AI and blockchain and just all these new technologies to just be able to get to know each and every citizen and where they are, so that if I say I have a plot of land, that it's actually a plot and not, you know, like 30 by 60 kind of thing. And that way we are able to just know where our citizens are. And I think it's scary, and I think he mentioned that, it's scary that we're getting into elections without some of these things and all that, because the world is going through so much of cyber issues, cyber attacks and things like that. And I think the government and maybe every organization and each of us needs to think about what maybe resilience more than just the security. You know, what I post, is it, you know, am I protecting myself, even just as Faith on IG, you know, do I have my privacy settings right, just to make sure that covers that. And then that way, even aspects of fake news, or me having my fake page where I'm selling fake wallpaper or fake shoes, then that is covered. So I think it's that big picture and how we can be able to just structure it for a better 2022 and beyond.
Talking about protecting yourself, Philip, we have recently seen outbursts on social media. People break their own stories on social media, and I'm not going to mention names, but we have seen an environment where people have said, this has been done to me, or people have said, I am done with this person. People have said the most insane and ridiculous things, quote unquote. However, this, of course, will have its consequences. The internet never forgets. Could cost you a Senate position, could cost you a presidential bid eventually. So, you know, the rush to post whatever I feel in terms of my emotions, in terms of the mental space I am in, that rush and what we are seeing, and the fact that it's unregulated. You can put whatever you want to put out there about anybody. Of course, the legal repercussions will be there. However, at that point, that you feel the way you feel, you can put whatever you want to put out there. And that's the space that we're living in. It's entertainment for others. For others, it really costs a lot, because there's character assassination. There is consequences for you as well when you come to that space where you now sit back and think, okay, I shouldn't have done this. And it's something that we've observed even in the last week, in the last 2 or 3 days. Yeah. The
role of social media in mental health has not been fully understood. And when you look at the KRA story and what you're asking right now, they're all anchored around mental health. When you look at the KRA going full throttle to actually tax people based on their digital footprint, and on the other flip side, people use social media as a form of coping mechanism, where they are living a life which is not, you know. And I think, before I answer your question, I think what KRA should have done is to tell stories better. I think what people are lacking is a space to tell their stories. And I think the issue about digital services tax should be about how people use their money. It can be a hustle. And we've noticed that Kenya, we are united by banter. Banter is, we're a banter country. That's what unites us. We laugh at each other. We make jokes. How about we now make it like a regular show where people make, and Kenyans are very creative. And when you look at, now to answer your question, and it's something which I think we need to discuss as a country. The digital footprints doesn't forget. And what we post today, and I'm right now in my 40s, and my son is 9 years old. My son is actually teaching me digital stuff. He taught me Discord. He's like, Dad, you are too old. WhatsApp is for the old people. Use Discord. I had to Google, I had to download it. I'm now winning awards globally because of this code, because my son taught me. So the kind of values I'm teaching my son, he'll one day wake up and actually see whatever I'm posting. If I'm talking negative stuff about him, he'll stumble upon them. And the sad bit, Lillian, is we are doing stuff right now to propel our careers. I will defame Faith to build my profile. I'll defame Nelly to build my profile. I'll defame Lillian to build my profile. But I'm forgetting that you have a family, you have kids. We are forgetting that these kids actually grow up into that. So I think going back to, again, what I'm saying is we don't understand the power we have. We don't understand the kind of stuff you're posting until it hits closer home. Whether it's breaking news of the dead, whether it's announcing, any, like, we lack values in real life, and that's what you're seeing online. So whatever you're seeing right now, it shows there's a lack of structures from home, where parents are not present, we are busy chasing a career progression, where brands are only focusing on their logo, on their business, and they're forgetting this other. So when you look at the digital space, Lillian, it's COVID left a trail of trauma. And people are finding ways of coping up, just telling their story, just if it's cooking, if it's what, and that's what makes their money. So for me, I'm looking at it, we need to understand the dangers of social media. The more once you open your bedroom to the public, you can't close that door. That's a door you cannot close. Once you open up your house to the public, it's a door you cannot close. So it's you to know social media is actually offline. Once you put it all online, it's no longer yours. So for me, the advice I'll give any listener or any people watching this, what's your digital footprint? You are what you post. Are you post whatever you post now, 10 years to come? And even as we go to the elections, social media is a great accountability tool where you can look at this leader A posted this 10 years ago, and what is he saying right now? Do we look at that kind of footprint, or are we focusing on just the negative side? So for me, what I'm looking at it, Lillian, is I think we need to focus more on the role of the digital space on the mental health, because the impact of COVID will be seen next year. What we are seeing right now is just a teething problem, and people are living a fake life online just to show people that they're actually doing good. I can be crying, I can be depressed, but I'll post I'm going to Mombasa. And these are habits which needs to be called out, where if I go on holiday, I take 50 or 100 photos of different clothes. So when I'm at home, I'll post I'm holiday, someone's at home. So let's normalize living our lives. Let's normalize having these conversations.
Okay, we're going to be coming back, and I have a comment right here from somebody who is saying, and let me find this, I've lost it. Okay, I lost it. Okay, here we go. Somebody here is saying, we are seeing a seismic shift which is happening in the banking space, soon paying bills, making payments, or even banking right within one social media page will be the norm in the near future. And this person is worried for their job as we speak, because he says a time will come when he will not be needed where he works, but no need to worry. We will be looking into issues around this very shortly as we return and as we wind up our conversation. Please continue to send in your tweets. The hashtag is DayaBreak at Citizen TV Kenya, at Lillian_Muli. Would like to hear your thoughts. We're back in just a bit.